Number 10. Christmas Eve on Sesame Street. Like most kids, I grew up watching Sesame Street and always enjoyed it, and the 1978 Christmas special was a part of this. The whole setup is nothing that grand. Big Bird is trying to figure out how Santa Claus goes down the chimney, and that's pretty much it. As simple as that may seem, it does lead to some pretty heavy drama, at least by Sesame Street standards. There's also a subplot with Bert and Ernie in a retelling of The Gift of Magi, which is also very heartfelt. The segment also makes me remember how wonderful Mr. Hooper was. Seriously, I wish all store managers were as kind and generous as him. There's also a lot of good humor as well. The bits with Kermit and Grover interviewing the kids about Santa Claus has quite a few funny one-liners.
Let's see, Santa Claus goes on a crash diet every Christmas Eve and loses 200 pounds. Bill said that Santa sneaks in with the rest of the relatives on Thanksgiving and hides in the laundry until Christmas.
But the funniest bits in the special is with Cookie Monster as he tries to write a letter to Santa but constantly ends up eating the utensils. Even though as a kid I used to be afraid of Cookie Monster, he eventually grew on me and has become one of my favorite characters in the show. There's also a scene with Bob and some children singing the song Keep Christmas With You, which is a very beautiful song by the way. With loads of laughs and holiday cheer, this is Sesame Street at its best.
Singing songs and stealing kisses under the mistletoe.
Number 9.
Have the tastiest treat.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. If there's one John Hughes Christmas classic I love more than Home Alone, it's this one. If there's one comedy I love more than Elf, it's this one. There's just so much humor to this film that I have a hard time picking out which moment is my favorite. From a cat wrapped in a box,
She wrapped up her damn cat.
to Randy Quaid's out-of-nowhere appearance,
Dear Catherine. Eddie?
to
Cool chill of the holiday air. An asshole in his bathrobe, emptying a chemical toilet into my sewer.
there's a lot to laugh at. Even some of the actors they got are really great, from Randy Quaid as the hilarious cousin Eddie, to Beverly D'Angelo as the voice of Reason Wife, and voice of Betty Boop, Mae Questrell as the senile Aunt Bethany.
Grace, she passed away 30 years ago. But I still got it, Eddie. Boop-boop-be-doo.
But there are two other elements I love from the film, one being Chevy Chase. He really owns this film with his acting, one-liners, and his reaction shots. He can be a dirty, ungrateful pervert at times, but he is shown to be a very caring husband and father who just wants to celebrate a good old-fashioned family Christmas. Secondly, many of us can relate to this film. I think most of us have had that one Christmas or Thanksgiving where things don't turn out the way you planned and go berserk. But despite the chaos, things still, for the most part, turn out great at the end. We may have experienced some crazy family holidays, but nothing like celebrating it like the Griswolds.
But the spirit of Christmas just isn't complete without true friends and family.
Number 8. Miracle on 34th Street. I think I was in my early middle school years when I first saw this film, and I have loved it ever since. The film centers on a man who claims to be the real Santa Claus. This all eventually leads to a court case, which doesn't seem that engaging at first, but it does turn out to be a very intriguing scene with a lot of social commentary, as well as some humor. The actors do a really good job with the roles. Maureen O'Hara played as the very stern and stiff Doris Walker, John Payne plays the very optimistic Fred Gailey, Natalie Wood as the very lost and confused Susan, and of course my favorite of all, Edmund Gwenn as Chris. I know some people love Tim Allen or Ed Asner as Santa, but when I think of a movie Santa Claus, Edmund Gwenn is the one I immediately think of. He's not this huge fat man in a red coat, he has the sense of dignity that I just admire. But I think what really holds this film together is the message. It isn't about the real meaning of Christmas, nor about commercialism as overshadowed the holiday, but it's about imagination and fantasy can play an important role in our lives, especially as children. Without make-believe or fairy tales, we would have no basis for our hopes, dreams, or even how we view the world. Full of a lot of holiday cheer, this is a charming Christmas tale that no one should be without.
It's the love we share that fills the air and makes this the best.
Number 7. The Polar Express. Believe it or not, for a long time this film was my #1 favorite Christmas special. However, after doing some reevaluating, this film has been bumped back a bit. But despite the change, it still is a film I enjoy. The voice acting for the most part was good, especially that of Tom Hanks as the narrator, the conductor, the hobo, and Santa. He does the voice of all 4 of these characters and manages to give each one a unique personality. The rest of the characters are alright, ranging from okay to bland to, in the case of Mandark over here, obnoxious.
It's a Baldwin 284 S3 class Berkshire type steam locomotive.
I know some people aren't a fan of the motion capture animation, and yeah, after a while it has gotten old to the point where it eventually came to an unfortunate end. But it still is impressive. It's even more impressive during the roller coaster bit. I didn't see this film in 3D, but I kinda wish I did. But what I really loved about this film was the fact that, despite being 90 minutes long, it managed to keep true to the original short story. With the exception of the Steven Tyler elf. Yeah, what was the point of that? The rest of the film didn't rely on adult humor or pop culture references like many films do nowadays. It just felt timeless, as it should be. While not a masterpiece, The Polar Express is a film that you just have to believe to be a holiday classic.
Something special underneath the tree.
Number 6. A Charlie Brown Christmas. Like most people, I have a hard time describing this special. It's not as haha funny as Elf or Christmas Vacation, although it does have some good humor.
Ugh, I've been kissed by a dog. I have dog germs. Get hot water. Get some disinfectant. Get some iodine.
The animation isn't all that amazing like the Polar Express or the Snowman. It's just a simple half-hour special about these kids putting together a pageant while also learning the true meaning of Christmas. But maybe that's what many people, including myself, love about it. It's a nice, relaxing special with likable characters and wonderful music. Just the opening itself is so soothing to listen and watch. I would go more detailed, but once again, the Nostalgia Critic recently did an editorial on the special that goes more detail on why it's so great. Even where it makes you realize the short isn't as simple as we may think it is. Even after 50 years, this short still holds up as one of the best and one of my favorites.
Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown! Hark the herald angels sing.
I'm making a wish on a sparkling light. But that's not what makes
Number
this
5.
so magical night.
A Christmas Story. I know, people nowadays are getting sick and tired of this film due to being shown all the time and marketing. I guess you could say it's suffering from the Frozen fever. Not that Frozen fever, but close enough. However, just like Frozen, I still enjoy this movie. The acting is really good, the humor is hilarious, and it brings back so much nostalgia to those who grew up around this time period. The strongest aspect of the film is the main character, Ralphie. He's this kid who is finding clever and cunning ways to get the air rifle for Christmas, from writing an essay to meeting a really scary mall Santa.
No, I want an official red undercover knife to 200 Germans by the rifle.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
His family is also a ton of fun, from the sweet mother, to the whiny brother, to the foul-mouthed father.
Not a finger!
Alright, so this film isn't a continuous story, but instead is a chain of random events that mesh pretty well together. While some people are sick and tired of it, A Christmas Story is a film I still enjoy to this day. Number 4. It's a Wonderful Life. I will be honest, I never really watched this film as a kid, mostly because when you're a little kid, black and white films don't really interest you all that much. It wasn't until middle school I finally saw the film in one of my literature classes. As I continued to rewatch the film over the years, I've grown a huge respect for it, so much so that it's ended up as a favorite. It has brilliant acting, particularly by James Stewart as George Bailey, wonderful writing by Frank Capra, and a very powerful and important message about courage, sacrifice, and the significance of life. It shows that no matter how unimportant we feel, we are all linked to each other and serve as an important role in one's lives. The film was nominated for 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and has been notified by the American Film Institute as one of the best films ever made, and I highly agree. Although it can be very stressful and almost hopeless at times, this holiday film teaches us that life truly is, well, wonderful.
That's right. That's right. Attaboy, Clarence.
Number 3. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And yes, I'm referring to the Chuck Jones cartoon. This was one of the first, if not the first, Christmas specials I ever saw. And it was one I always look forward to watch every year. And to this day, I still enjoy it. I always loved hearing the memorable quotes of the story.
Snarled for the sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here.
That catchy song sung by Thurl Ravenscroft.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel.
And I especially love watching the Grinch steal everything. I know that sounds bizarre, but just seeing how creative and how subtle he is about it is just so enjoyable. And the song just adds more to it. It also has some of the same kind of humor that you would associate with a Chuck Jones production. But as an adult, I still love this special just as much as I was as a kid, maybe even more. The Grinch himself, voiced by Boris Karloff, despite being the antagonist, is someone many people can relate to. Some of us just get sick and tired of all the hustle and bustle of the holiday season. It can get irritating and overwhelming, but despite it all, the Grinch learns what Christmas is all about.
Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more.
And I suppose I should bring up the Ron Howard film. I will say I don't hate it as much as some people do.
They see
Said the Grump.
that the remake is crap. I'd rather get my nuts caught in a Lorax trap.
But at the same time, I don't consider it to be all that great. I can appreciate Howard's attempt to expand on the character by giving some backstory and interacting with the Who's, but compared to the subtlety of the original, it just isn't as faithful to the original book. Not to mention the Who's in Whoville are hideous and nasty, and the message comes off as very hypocritical. However, I will give some praise to Jim Carrey's performance. The costume does mesh well with his body, and you can tell he was into his role. Some of the humor works, while other times... yeah. While it doesn't hold up as much as the cartoon, it's a decent film overall. I mean, it could have been worse. It could have ended up like...
Who is this? Oh.
That's my mom.
Awkward. Yeah.
Others. I have been hearing news about a CGI remake in the makings, like with Horton's Who and the Lorax. I'm not sure what to think about that, but I hope it'll be good. I'm just curious to know who will voice the Grinch. A friend of mine on the Villain War forum thinks John Delancey would be a perfect choice. Which actually would probably work. He has the perfect balance of the subtlety of Boris Karloff and the silliness of Jim Carrey. I mean, if it's the same guy that's given us this...
A test of intelligence, then? Equally as meaningless.
Or this...
You should see the looks on your faces. Priceless.
Then I think we're in good hands. Oh well, it's a holiday special that you have to be a real Grinch to hate. Or, as Tony the Tiger puts it...
Stink, stank, stunk.
Number 2. A Christmas Carol. Which one? Well, a good majority of them, really. There are hundreds of different film and TV adaptations on this Charles Dickens novel. And even though they all tell the same story, they each have a unique way of telling it. Although if I had to pick a favorite, it would have to be the 1984 adaptation featuring George C. Scott. Just the slimy look on Scott's expressions are perfect.
To be boiled in his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart.
However, going back and watching the 1951 version, I've grown to really love Alastair Sim's performance. I especially love his transformation between cruel to giddiness.
Fell in love with a woman as penniless as yourself.
I just can't help it.
Besides those two, there are many other versions to enjoy. There's the 1938 version starring Reginald Owen.
A little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them liars.
Patrick Stewart took a shot in 1999.
Crumb of moldy cheese, an underdone turnip.
And of course, there's Michael Caine in The Muppet Christmas Carol.
There's more of gravy than of brave about you.
I especially love the Mickey's Christmas Carol, mostly because it was the first version that I saw as a kid.
Why was I so foolish? Why?
Even the Looney Tunes did their own version in Bah Humduck, which it wasn't great, but it was alright.
What have you learned from your visit to Christmas Past? That life is cruel and the only way to survive is to be as selfish as possible?
And finally, there's the 2009 Disney edition starring Jim Carrey, which overall is alright in my opinion. Made by Robert Zemeckis, the guy that did The Polar Express, this film really surprised people, in both good and indirect ways. The film does stick pretty close to the original story, but I guess people expected it to be somewhat humorous, you know, being a Disney film starring Jim Carrey. Even though Carrey is mostly known for...
Holiday Hoopy Waddy?
That. In this film, he plays a pretty good Scrooge. He's very serious and cold-hearted, but does show some humor as well. I think what bothered some people is just how dark parts of it really were. I remember going to see this in the theater, and I remember hearing children crying during the scenes with the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. And in some ways, I agree some of these scenes come as too dark. I mean, I understand that the original Christmas Carol is a dark story, but... Yikes. People say this is a film too dark to be something made by Disney. But come on, folks. These are the same people that's given us sexual harassment, decapitations, cannibalism, and... whatever the heck that was about. Despite how incredibly dark and silly this version is, I do thoroughly enjoy it. A story about redemption, generosity, and goodwill towards all men, A Christmas Carol is one of the greatest Christmas stories of all time.
Merry Christmas to everybody, and a Happy New Year to the world!
Now, before I reveal my number one, here's some honorable mentions that didn't quite make it to my list, but are still Christmas specials I enjoy. Santa Claus. Mostly the first one. Second film is alright, and the third one... well, Martin Short as Jack Frost was awesome.
I invented chill.
Very funny and also very touching, and Tim Allen plays a pretty good Santa as well. It's a SpongeBob Christmas. I will admit, even though I'm not a huge fan of SpongeBob SquarePants, I was surprised how great the special was. The fact that it's stop-motion animation is an interesting choice. It's funny, charming, and it really shows that despite how awful SpongeBob has gotten over the years, occasionally there will still be a good episode. Also, the song Don't Be a Jerk will be stuck in your head for a while.
To the world, it's a thing to do, but the world does not revolve around you. Don't be a jerk. It's Christmas.
It shows that Tom Kenny knows how to sing greatly, unlike in other specials. I'm looking at you, Atlanta SquarePants.
Don't be a jerk. It's Christmas.
Annabelle's Wish. Remember this one? Probably not, because this was a TV movie that came out in 1997. The story is about the friendship between a young calf and a mute boy. While the film can be kinda corny, being a children's film, it has a really strong message about love and sacrifice. If you have any kids, I highly suggest getting this for them. A Pinky and the Brain Christmas. Even though I didn't watch that much of Pinky and the Brain, I did see this special. The whole premise is pretty much the two mice trying an attempt to take over the world on Christmas Day. Sounds like your typical Pinky and the Brain episode, until you get to the ending, which, once again, I'm not spoiling, but let's just say it is just beautiful and really touching. A Very Supernatural Christmas. Along with Once Upon a Time and Criminal Minds, Supernatural has become one of my favorite live-action TV shows, and I agree with many that this is one of the show's best episodes. The storyline itself isn't really that strong, just a murder mystery that is committed by an anti-Santa. The usual day with the Winchesters. But what really makes this episode hold up is the flashback that shows the brothers doing Christmas on their own since their father is away. Yeah, this episode just made me hate John Winchester even more than before. Stop chasing that yellow-eyed demon and get back to your boys for Christmas. Your wife would have wanted it that way. Oh well. Throughout the entire episode, Dean wants to celebrate a traditional Christmas with Sam, since this would likely be his very last. This episode does show how strong Dean and Sam are together. They can get into extreme arguments, but in the end, they are still family.
Merry Christmas, bro. Yeah. Here, Merry Christmas.
The Small One. Like with The Little Match Girl, this is a Disney short that is starting to get more popularity, which is good. Directed by Don Bluth, the same guy who directed Secret Nim and The Land Before Time, this short tells the story of a young boy who is trying to sell his donkey who is getting really old. And I can't really say more without giving too much away. Let's just say it's a mixed bag of sad and uplifting emotions that the whole family can enjoy. Now that we got the honorable mentions out of the way, it's time to reveal my number one, which might surprise some of you. And my number one favorite Christmas special of all time is Joyeux Noel. I seriously hope I'm pronouncing that right. Chances are most of you never heard of this one, and yeah, I never really heard of it too. But I eventually stumbled upon it and gave it a watch. And I greatly enjoyed it to the point that it has become my all-time favorite Christmas film. But why? It's not a comedy like Elf or Christmas Story. It's not as colorful as The Grinch or Charlie Brown. It's not as charming as Miracle on 34th Street or It's a Wonderful Life. But what makes this film amazing is it truly shows how powerful Christmas truly is. The film takes place during the First World War in 1914. The French, German, and Scottish troops are at each other's throats. But on Christmas Eve night, the troops decide to make a truce.
Wonderful. We were talking about a ceasefire for Christmas Eve.
They stop fighting and start interacting with each other by sharing photographs, champagne, and singing carols. It is just incredible, seeing these three different forces coming together and being allies and even form powerful friendships. Unfortunately, the truce eventually ends and things start to get really convoluted. I'm not going to say much else, but it will hit you right in the feels. Despite being a war movie, it is in no way about the glorification of war, but it instead tells a tale about a group of people that see past their differences just for one night. Joyeux Noel, my all-time favorite Christmas special, and one I highly recommend it to everyone. So there you have it, folks, my top 20 personal favorite Christmas specials of all time. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope some of your favorites appear on the list, as well as introducing you to some new ones. This is CK Primal 7 saying, Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.
Christmas with you all through the year. When Christmas is over, you can keep it near. Think of this Christmas day, when Christmas is far away. Keep Christmas with you all through the year. When Christmas is over, say some Christmas cheer. These precious moments, hold them very dear, and keep Christmas with you all through the year.
Christmas means the spirit of giving, peace and joy to you.
The goodness of loving, the gladness of living, these are Christmas too. is over, save some Christmas cheer. These precious moments, hold them very dear, and keep Christmas with you all through the year. Yes, keep Christmas with you all through the
Gee, thanks for letting us share our Christmas spirit with you. Merry Christmas, everybody!
Hey everyone, CK7 here. It is Christmas morning as I'm recording this final portion. Just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas once again. Yeah, this was just something I wanted to try out for this year. I was going to do it last year, but it didn't work out. And as for this year, it's supposed to come out either the first or second week of December, but that never worked. You know, being busy with school, work, and, you know, Christmas shopping and all that. And I hope you all enjoyed it. I just wanted to try this out since, you know, so many people on YouTube do it. I just thought I'd give it a shot. And I'm just going to take a wild guess and be wondering that some of you are probably going to be asking me, will I be doing more videos like this? You know, where it's just, you know, me talking and you see my face and I cut to clips from random films or shows and talking about those films and shows. Well, I will say this, I actually did enjoy putting this together, and I might do more videos like this, but here's the deal. If I do more videos like this, I would not be able to do them daily or weekly or whatever. I would only do them when I have the time and when I feel like it, because, like I said, I am busy with school and my job and helping my parents around the place. Yes, I still live with my parents. But, and also, I'm still currently working on Heroes vs. Villains. I'm sure a lot of you still want to see that. Oh, by the way, hopefully y'all will get Round 14 Part 4 soon. I don't know when, but soon. I was hoping to get it out this year, before this year ended, but even then, that doesn't look like it's going to happen. But we'll wait and see. All I have left to do is the epilogue and the cutscene, but there's still quite a bit to edit with that stuff. So, yeah, I'm assuming a lot of you still want me to work on that. But, I don't know, I'll let you guys decide or whatever. What do y'all think? Would you like me to do more videos like this, or what? Or would you rather wait till I get a better webcam system, because I probably should consider about doing that. So, yeah, just wanted to make that announcement, and I will see you all later. Bye.